Hello, welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political and national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. We apologize a bit for starting the show, quite a bit late. Today on the show, we'll be discussing three issues. First, Donald Trump designates Nigeria a country of particular concern over alleged killings of Christians. Two, the coup investigations. We'll also talk about that. And then the third conversation for tonight will be on PDP convention, which has run into big crisis. In the course of the program, we take your questions, but first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. It's important to mention that we can only read names with human names and the read comments with human names and the ones based on the subject matter. I have joining me via Zoom, the master himself, all the way from Anambra, Babajide Koladu Titoju. Good to see you, BK.
Good to see you, Ibrahim. Good to do this with you. And I say a big thank you to our loyal fans. It is because of you that we are here.
Absolutely. Let's start off with the POTUS, who made a tweet designating Nigeria as a country of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998, citing what the US called thousands of Christians being killed. Meanwhile, the federal government of Nigeria rejected the characterization, pointing out that violence affects many communities, including Muslims, etc. How did you receive this news to start with, BK?
I had suspected that this could happen because before he officially took that decision, this matter was in the news, at least at the realm of speculation. We saw what happened when one American came here. Before then, um, the United States Senator had been talking about these, saying all sorts of things about Nigeria. And I was worried that if our response was not strong as a nation, that Donald Trump could eventually take this action. Remember, even when our former president, Muhammadu Buhari, visited Donald Trump, he asked President Buhari pointedly, said, why are you people killing Christians? And the then president had to stoutly defend uh, our country. Somehow, they have come to the conclusion that there is a pattern of persecution of Christians, that there is state-sponsored terrorism
It
um,
has not changed.
I just don't know
against
now. I
Christians
just put it
in
on
our
now and I
country.
feel like that. When I tested
So
it before, it wasn't like that.
I just
You've tested with
felt
it.
that
Fún ẹ, ìwọ ló connect
this
méjèèjì mọ́.
could happen.
Kò dẹ̀ ní
And
audience bẹ́ẹ̀.
unfortunately,
I tested my phone with
our
it.
response as a nation had
So
not been
fún
strong
ọkàn kúrò
enough.
lábẹ́lẹ̀ ni àbí kí ló dé
I believe that before now, our president should have issued the statement that they just issued, where our president made the point that our country, that what the Americans are saying does not reflect who we are. I believe that that statement, that strong statement from our president, which is very direct, yet not aggressive, should have been issued before now. That position should have been made clear by someone in the capacity of our president. But what we have seen is merely a reaction to the action that have been taken. We should have made efforts to stop this from happening because it's an embarrassment. In 2023, when some countries were branded countries of concern, on that list were countries like Burma, China, Cuba, Pakistan, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Tajikistan, and Turkey. Turkmenistan. That same year, Algeria, Azerbaijan, Central African Republic, Comoros, and Vietnam were placed on the watch list. I do not or did not expect to see my country in this kind of situation. If Trump had done this around 2011, around 2012, I would have said yes, he did the right thing, because at the beginning of the Boko Haram's killing campaign, churches were being targeted. Christians were being targeted. The goal of those jihadists was to cause so much problem in our country to the point that Nigeria would go up in flames. But the effort to start a religious war failed, because in spite of the fact that Christians were being targeted, their churches were being burned. Remember the Christmas Day bomber. In spite of all those efforts, Christians refused to retaliate those killings. And for that reason, they became frustrated and they started targeting Muslims, going into mosque to kill people. So the killings happening, especially in the north central of our country, because that's where a lot of everyone knows that the north central of our country is dominated by Christians. I guess this is where they are missing the point. So when killings happen in the north central, it makes sense to say that yes, a considerable number of the victims would be Christians. Now, with those people being killed, with the Christians, with those communities being attacked, Trump and his people must have come to the conclusion that, oh, these killings in this area, in the north central, were targeted at Christians. But banditry and terrorism, especially in that part of the country, is not really based on religion. A lot of it is tit for tat killings. It stems from years of warfare between farmers and herders, and tit for tat attacks on one another. And when they kill one another in this case, in this way, they find it difficult to forgive one another. So they continue to move from one community to another, seeking vengeance. It is because we have not been able to find a way to reconcile people who had bottled up animosities against one another over the years that we have this problem. So when killings happen in the Northwest, a lot of the targets, and so many killings have happened in the Northwest, in Zamfara. Sometimes the bandits will attack a community and almost completely wipe out the people there. People die in hundreds, even in those places. The terrorism going on in the Northeast, sometimes Boko Haram attacks a community, people die in hundreds. And it depends on the community that is attacked. If it is a community dominated by Muslims, then it's the Muslims that are being killed. If it is a community in the Northeast dominated by Christians, like Chibok, for example, or Garkida dominated by Christians, Chibok dominated by Christians. So there are communities, when the attack happens, it does not usually discriminate against, the terrorists do not discriminate against people based on their religion. We've seen a lot of mosques attacked and people killed even during the early morning prayers in the North Central, especially in Niger State. So, but the people who have misled the American government to think that it is only the Christians that are being attacked means the point that these attacks are not localized in the Christian-dominated areas alone. We see attacks in the northeast, in the Muslim-dominated northeast. So I believe that some of the videos that they have seen that prompted this kind of designation are largely videos from the North Central, where you see a lot of pastors complaining about the fact that communities are being wiped out, churches are being burnt, and all that. So I still go back to the point that I made earlier, that if it was in 2011, 2012 that this happened, then one could say that yes, they were right to respond in the way they have done to the apparent targeting of Christians by terrorists, by the Boko Haram terrorists. But the pattern has shifted, it has changed. The fact that they failed in their bid to trigger a religious war,
that's right,
tit for tat killings between Christians and Muslims, now made them to start attacking Muslims as well. And we've seen
absolutely,
a lot of Muslims killed in the northeast of our country, in Yobe,
absolutely.
in Adamawa, in what's it called? In Borno State. If the attacks are concentrated in Adamawa State, a lot of the victims will be, majority of the victims will be Christians. Because Boko Haram used to control 7 local governments in Adamawa State, and those 7 local governments were dominated by Muslims. You know, and in Borno State, Boko Haram controlled in Yobe State, Boko Haram controlled 2 local governments. In Borno, they controlled more than 17 local governments at a point. And a lot of those local governments, where they were killing people, setting people's houses ablaze, Muslims were in clear majority. So in our country, there is no officially sponsored terrorist attacks on Christians. Some of the things that I've read, I feel really disappointed. There's no official targeting of Christians. Yet, you have to admit that many Christian communities have been targeted by bandits. Even in Kaduna State especially, in southern Kaduna, many people have been killed. But again, these are people who had years of animosity against one another.